Over Ramadan. Are you familiar with that story? They were supposed to be in 2020, and then 2020. And every 10 years, so it's supposed to be in 2020. And it's got delayed 2 years.
Got a minute. I got a minute. Okay. Haven't been to the plastic play, but been to over America several times.
Oh, you have? And I was reading up, you know, they've been doing this since 1636.
After the play.
After the play, yeah, they made promises during the play.
Yes, they got all the yeah.
Can you speak say to us?
Got that right. Yes. But over
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Rotary.
So hard, but that's what it is. Yeah.
All right, check. All right, here we are. Well, welcome to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville. It's a beautiful day. Got a great group of folks in here and also on Zoom. We're going to kick off our meeting with our own Bill Renfro. Bill?
Thank you, Chris. No, no, only but lonely, that's all I know. Tell by looking at my hair, that's all I know. Ricky Nelson.
Sweet Mary, I'm so in love with you. My dear Mary, been there all so pass me by on Sunday day, I still be round away. It's around where I reach so down the ground. Oh, I've never been with you before. I say hello, Mary. Goodbye, sweet Mary. I'm so in love with you. I do, Mary. So hello, Mary. I'm sorry that I heard your voice. Maybe I just had no choice. My horses couldn't make me stay away. I thought arms around you that night. That's all I had to see for me to say. Oh, Mary, goodbye, sweet Mary, I'm so in love with you. I do, Mary. I'm so happy.
I give him grief about love songs, so he plays them the best. So, all right, Alex, you can lead us in the pledge today, sir. Thank you. All right. So, if you would please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, my good buddy Rudy, come on up.
In your loving hands, all our troops and all those who are serving us in this difficult time. Protect them as they protect us. Bless them and their families for the selfless acts they perform. Help us to be generous with our time, our possessions, in the mission of truth, fairness, and goodwill, so that we may benefit all. Bless this food and deepen our Italian spirit, as we say. Bless us, O Lord, for this thy gifts we're about to receive from thy bounty in Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
All right, go ahead and continue eating. We'll start in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
So you went up there for minutes?
Yeah.
So where are y'all going?
I had 2 different trips. Going to
Yeah.
Yeah, I went down there.
You going Saturday or Saturday?
He took his place. Somebody else take care of it.
Y'all have one?
Yeah.
About the first weekend this week.
Uh-huh.
We had a lot of.
All right.
Not a lot, but we're staying up,
So you put the kids in the adults in 3 beds.
You'll never know.
Stay right there. Military. Because. Somewhere not with the.
Sounds like some. Picturesque place.
That means she gets to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
We stayed there.
Out of state.
But anyway, we were back. They had a So it was a Christmas time, so I said, I'll just stay on and have Christmas. But it's a bit, get up out there. Yeah. Taxi. Is that around where the gate was? The driver dropped us down.
Bottom line, you're leaving it.
So we did. So,
Oh, so the older ones can be a little difficult. And there's another maybe. Exactly. He's not so good at that. Exactly. I think things are going better. They have, so my daughter lives in New York City. They have,
Oh, yeah.
so Dave, my daughter. So they have just bought a Catskills renovation. Of course, it's bigger than their apartment. It's hot. It's hot. So they've been there for a week, and I think.
So, I mean, you got it.
Just the time has been really good. Because I think it's getting attention. Her issue is she just is.
No.
Vocabulary.
My first tour.
They get out for the run.
Makeup, 18 months and then went. Kind of a one of those things.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me who lost what grade. I knew you was at. There was some NATO organization that Insular first year. Could have been something. I don't know. And it had this assignment. This is what they the ninth grade. Really good. She got in the ninth grade. Because It's going to finish his school. Got there. Third year, my classmate was
All right, food was great today. Thank you, chef. Was the person back here helping us out when you get a chance. Coming up to introduce our guest today is our pod leader for the month of June and our wonderful secretary, Melissa Bell. Melissa, come on out.
There when I first got there.
Oh, I just love standing ovation here.
I need to stand up.
Yeah, well, you better stand or I'll kick. We are pleased today to have Larry Witt with us. And if you will look from the nose above, you'll recognize that he's Carol's brother. We're very pleased to have him. We are already working on him. He's barely moved in from Memphis, and we are already talking to him about how good this club is. And we also have Ryan Jones visiting with us today. Ryan, would you stand? We're glad to have you here. Our speaker, Derek Simpson, will be introduced by Cliff. Thank you all for being here today. We're glad to have you. Look forward to a good presentation.
Thank you, Melissa. And again, did I say it's the best secretary ever for the club, Melissa Bell? There she is. Thanks for all you do. We're excited for Derek's presentation. Spent some time with him at the table here. He's a great guy, Huntsville guy, and really looking forward to the story. And there's a video in there for some of you too that have a hard time, paying attention to the whole speech. So, sorry, I said it out loud. I was just thinking that in my head. Upcoming presentations. All right, next week, Brandy Quick, director of Digital Landing, is coming. Excited about that. And I said, Sam Lowry, it's Sam Addison. I apologize. Sam Addison is a member of our club. He's the guy that usually in the summertime is up in Maine, but he's leading the global grant for Senegal Water Pumps Initiative. So he's going to give us an update on how that's going as well. They're making good progress. Norbert Webley, owner of Now Sports Academy, is Jamaican national team soccer player and played at the University of North Carolina. And we were able to confirm on June 22nd, Matt McCutcheon, Speaker of the House, will be here to speak to us as well. I'm really excited about that. And you can't see down there, June 29th is Founders Day. Please mark your calendars for that and be here for that. It's going to be an awesome event. We're going to have past district governors, current district governors, incoming district governors. We're going to have, all the folks here, so it'll be awesome. Hey guys, Veterans Memorial Cleaning last Saturday was absolutely amazing. What a great day for us, a beautiful day. Set the stage for cleaning it for Memorial Day on Monday. You can see the great turnout that we had from the scouts and from all those great Rotarians as well. Pretty awesome. The Gold Star was lit up for us too. I think someone stuck in some more pictures, didn't they? Was this Rudy? Rudy got some more pictures stuck in there for us. I took this lesson over, right? Reed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, went through. And we did a deep clean on it too. Everything got wiped down and Paul signed up. So I want to thank everybody for that. It really was a fantastic event. Reed, thanks for coordinating that. So it went really well. Bill Love asked me to put this message up. They're having a really big singing event that Bill is singing in. So he's really excited about it. One reason I can't be here today is he has 2 practices today. But he wanted to invite everybody to attend that concert this Saturday on June 4th. I'll leave that up there for a second so you can take a look at that. Anybody heard Bill sing?
Oh,
Who said yes? Tom has? That makes sense. Tom's a singer too. Tom, are you gonna be in this?
No, the only one real singers.
Roger?
Well, my son Morgan is in that choir also,
Okay.
and he has a beautiful voice.
I hear it's really fantastic. So if you get the opportunity, it's up here. If you need more information on it, let me know. We can email that out. Other club announcements, our 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club initiative is going very well. We were at 11 members needed. We are now at 8 needed for us to get there. Our goal is to get there by the end of the month. Please remember that a lot of you built up a ton of points, that you're Paul Harris plus, and you built up a lot of points. You can use those points to recognize somebody that you care about and or really shows the Rotary values of service above self. Your pastor, someone in your neighborhood, someone in a nonprofit, and this would be a great opportunity on Founder's Day to recognize those folks. If you have any other questions, reach out to Will, Kirkpatrick, or myself. We'll get you information. New member orientation is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We're going to be sending out that Zoom link tonight to our new members this year and get them oriented. And I think I'm missing one thing down at the bottom. What does it say down at the bottom? Boiler and bragging, this was for Jim. Jim sent out an email, wants to get interest on folks that want to go to Boiler and Bragging in July or August, Jim?
August 20th.
August 20th. And in years past, before COVID hit and everything, we would take a bus down there or a small van or something, get everybody down there and back safely, let them have a good time. So we needed check interest. If you want to go, let us know, and then we know we can put a bus together for that. There's other libations on that bus too and other fun things that go on, but we'll just talk about the transportation for now. So with that, any other member announcements? Mike, come on up, bud.
Yeah,
The
I
colorful
guess,
shirt you got there today.
I guess you can tell by this shirt, that's something I'm gonna brag about. Yeah.
You're looking for a fine, man.
Yeah. Just so, and I want to make sure I get it right, that Tennessee, since the first of the year, has won the SEC basketball tournament champs, SEC baseball tournament champs, regular season baseball tournament champs, SEC girls soccer champs. There was one other. I can't remember what- Any of you Tennessee alumni here remember what the other one was?
Oh, no, I can't remember, but go balls.
Go Balls. That's all I wanted to do. Point it out. Well, I'm all fine connected every now and then. I hope you put.
All right, any other member announcements, updates, anything I'm missing? Okay, with that, Cliff, you want to come up there, please, thank you.
Well, Terry, it's, today we're honored today to have Derek Simpson here to talk to us. He's a very successful lawyer downtown. He's an original Huntsvillian, which is an oddity, as we all know that. But what he's going to be talking about, and the reason I wanted to have him come and speak to us, is the oddity. He's an NFL agent, and his story is very impactful. And I want to make sure that everybody here heard that. So, Derek, I'm coming up.
Okay, great to be here. Thank y'all for having me. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself and how I got involved in this, and then I'm going to tell you kind of the backstory on what I think is probably the best NFL play of all time, and my connection to that. I grew up here in Huntsville, went to Grissom for high school, Alabama for college, and Alabama for law school. And I wanted to come back here and practice law with my dad, and I got to do that. But while I was practicing law, I played football my whole life. I was around football my whole life. I watched it my whole life. My dad was one of my football coaches growing up. And I always was intrigued about how the NFL worked, how they have players and how they work the contracts. And so anyway, I started trying to figure out what it would take to be a certified NFL agent. And what I found out is the NFL is a business, just like any other business, and the players are all part of the union. So it's the NFL Players Association, and they are part of the union. The NFL owners are the owners of the league, and they have Roger Goodell is their CEO. So Roger Goodell, you see on draft day, he works with NFL owners. And so the NFL Players Association, they control who will be the agents. They control who will get to negotiate on behalf of their players against the owners or against the team. So to become an NFL agent, I found out that I had to fill out an application. They put my references on there, and they actually called my references. And they said, okay, you qualify to go to the next step, and the next step will be you have to come to DC and pay a bunch of money to come up here, and then you get to sit for the collective bargaining agreement test, the CBA. The CBA is no different than any other collective bargaining agreement between, a major corporation and the union. But the collective bargaining agreement is the agreement between what the owners will get and what the players will get. The NFL is about a $13 billion business where they pour money into a pot, and it's the collective bargaining agreement is how they split it. But the collective bargaining agreement is very detailed on what happens about fines and plays and whether somebody gets hurt and how the money will be paid. So it's a very detailed document. So you go up there and you take these classes on the collective bargaining agreement. And at the end of that week, basically in DC, they give you a test. The pass rate is about 60%. Fortunately, I passed. But the NFLPA then says, okay, you've passed the references, you have now passed the CBA. You have to get special insurance that will cover you in case you screw up. It doesn't, my professional liability with my law firm does not cover it, so I have to get special insurance. And then the NFLPA says, and oh, by the way, if you don't get a player within 3 years, you got to start all over. So, the NFLPA is very selective, very hard, and they make you jump through an enormous amount of hoops to keep your certification. So I went through it because I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know how they did it. I wanted to know how the NFL worked, and I enjoyed it. Look, I had no players. I had nobody to call. I had nobody that was coming up to middle school or high school and says, I'm going to be his agent. I just wanted to learn what it took to be an NFL agent, so I did it. So I'm rocking along, I have no players, and if I got to the 3-year mark and I did not have a player, I already decided I'm not going back, I'm not gonna do it again. So after the end of my second year, going into my third year of not having a player, I got a call from a guy named Johnny Jackson in Tuscaloosa. Johnny Jackson runs a little sports facility, workout facility in a strip mall in Northport, Alabama, right by Tuscaloosa. Johnny has developed an enormous following, and he has an enormous amount of NFL clients that work out there on the off season, and all the NFL players kind of know him. Johnny happened to reach out to my cousin, who he coached when he was at college, and said, "Do you know any agents that I could talk to? Do you know any agents that would, just sit down with me that aren't slick and, aren't trying to get a buck, anybody that would just sit down and talk with me?" And my cousin said, "You ought to call my cousin Derek." So Johnny called me and he said, "I'm just looking for an agent that I can just talk to about these players I have coming through." So I jumped in my car, went down to Northport, talked to Johnny. We got along great. And I think he realized that I was not trying to, make my living off of being an NFL agent, but I was interested in it. And while I was sitting there in his shop, we got to know each other. He called me a couple weeks later and said, "I want you to come back. I want you to meet a player, and his name is Malcolm Butler." And Malcolm Butler played at West Alabama, and he was flying below the radar. So I got in my car, went down to Tuscaloosa, and just like sitting in a gym, we sat at a table, and Malcolm, said, "Look, I know you don't know me, but," he said, "I can play. I can play in the NFL. I know I can." And I looked back at him and said, "I know you don't know me, but I can negotiate, And I said, "Look, if we will trust each other, this can work, but you're going to have to trust me. I've never had a player before, but I know what the collective reads, and a lot of these big agencies try to make all the players think that only they know the secret codes to the CBA, but it's not a very hard document to learn. And I said, but look, you're just gonna have to trust me. And the first thing that we have to do is we've got to give you some exposure. We've got to get you to where these NFL teams will at least know who you are. Well, I went to Alabama for college, went to Alabama for law school, and all the connections that I had, I told everyone that I had to get Malcolm into the pro day at Alabama. Nick Saban, I know some of these Tennessee fans do not like him, and one of the things that he did do was he allows Division II players to come to his pro day. Division II players are normally not invited to the combine, which is in Indianapolis, and he knows that this will be really the only exposure that these Division II players can get. They have their own pro day, but sometimes those scouts don't do there. But a pro day at Alabama, all 32 scouts are there, and all 32 teams have about 4 or 5 scouts. So this would be the best exposure for him. So I pulled every string and I said, look, I'm going to get you into this pro day. And agents aren't allowed to go to it. So I was very anxious and I said, how'd you do? And Malcolm said, I think I did pretty good. I ran 140 in a 4.6. And everybody doesn't know, but the 40 time is extremely important, especially if you're going to be playing in the secondary. Malcolm was, he was a defensive back. And I famously told him, I said, Malcolm, I can run that fast in my church shoes. There is no way that that's a very good time. So for the next period of time, I was trying to get him into these other camps, but they're very restrictive of where you can do your pro day. So we went into the draft with Malcolm running a 4.6, and I can tell you just based on my experience, he's 5'10" and a half. I'm almost I'm as tall as he is. He played at West Alabama. He's a very good player. And staring at him is a 4.6. And he is trying to be covering these guys that are, running 4 flats, 4 1s, 4 2s, or whatever. And I didn't feel good about it. But I said, let's just keep pushing forward. He did have a little bit of interest before he ran the 4.6, but all of that dropped off. Nobody returned my phone call. Nobody would send me an email back. Nobody would return my text. So we go into the draft, and there's 3 things that can happen in the draft. One is you can be drafted. There's 7 rounds. After the draft, there's this flurry of activity to be an undrafted. You could be an undrafted free agent, which is they invite you to camp. You sign a 3-year deal. You make the league minimum, and then you have a chance to make the team. The worst and the lowest is a tryout. And a tryout is so low that they make you sign a release before you can even come onto the property because they don't want to be responsible if you get hurt. So we go into the draft. Malcolm has his 4.6 hanging around his neck, and he does not get drafted. He's not, he does not become an undrafted free agent. And I'm sitting at my home dining room table, sitting there, thinking, what would be the next step for Malcolm Butler? And I was thinking, maybe we can try the CFL, maybe we can try arena ball. And then I got a phone call. I got a phone call from a guy named Josh Boyer. Josh Boyer was the assistant defensive backs coach for the New England Patriots. Josh Boyer now is the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. He's an unbelievable coach, unbelievable person. But he said to me on that phone, he said, is Malcolm still available? And I didn't have one phone call. So I had to play a little poker with him, and I said, he is now, but you better jump on it, whatever. So Josh Boyer says to me on the phone while I'm sitting at my dining room table with no phone calls, no team interested, because I think he's faster than a 4.6. I said, he is faster than a 4.6. And Josh said, well, I can offer him a tryout, but he'll have to sign a release to come here. And where is he going to fly out of? I said, Jackson, Mississippi. So, and Josh said, you need to tell him that Belichick said I could bring in 1 player. The head coach of the Patriots said, you can bring in 1 player, Josh. He goes, and I'm bringing in Malcolm. But the first thing he's going to do is run 40. And if he runs a 4.6, we're sitting. I said, okay, got it. So I called Malcolm. I said, Malcolm, this is it. There is no second chances. This is your shot. This is your shot to make an NFL, but there is nothing to fall back on. And I told him this story that we now make a big joke about this, and we always talk about this story. I told him, I have a brother-in-law who's a great golfer, unbelievable golfer, and he has some connections, and he got to play at Augusta. not during the Masters. I mean, I'm talking like an off day. And he was there with a buddy, and his buddy hit a long drive on one of the par fives, and they were laying between clubs. And my brother-in-law's friend asked the caddy, he said, what should I do? Should I lay up or should I go for it? And the caddy at Augusta, the hardest golf course to get on in the world, looked at my brother-in-law's friend and said, are you coming back? Which is such a great response. Are you ever going to be back here? So of course you're going to go for it. Go for the green. Why would you lay up? So anyway, I told Malcolm that story of why that's important in golf, and he understood it. And I said, listen, I tell you all this, Malcolm, for this one reason. There is nothing else out there. If you go up there and you run a 4.6 and they send you home, we have no place for you to go. You know, I understand. I said, but look, you told me when we first met you could play. So let's go play. But you have got to go up there and you have got to do something to get their attention. You cannot let them ignore you. Malcolm flies up from Jackson, Mississippi up to New England. He is probably in New England about 15 minutes. They say, go put on your cleats, you're gonna run 40. He runs a 40. Josh Porter calls me, he said, he ran a 4.4. We are gonna offer him a contract to be an undrafted free agent. An undrafted free agent means he'll sign 3 years and he'll make the league minimum, but he's got to make the team. Now, at that time, New England was the end all. They were at the top of their dynasty. And I could go through and name some of the defensive backs that were there that y'all may recognize. Terrell Rivas, first round draft pick, Logan Ryan, Kyle Harrington, Brandon Browner. All of these guys, Delvin McCourty, all those guys are second, third, first round picks. And here comes Malcolm from West Alabama, with the only team that wants him, that is now going to be one of 90 players to make a 53-man squad. And he has to be good enough to not only make all those cuts, to now be in line with Delvin McCourty, Darrell Rivas, Logan Ryan, all those guys. So Malcolm's at practice. Starts with 90 players. They slowly start making cuts. He's making the cuts. And as I'm sitting at home, there's nothing being written about Malcolm Butler, the undrafted free agent from West Alabama. But every once in a while, I would say an undrafted free agent had a good day. An undrafted free agent picked off Brady today. And I'd call Malcolm and say, did you pick off Brady? It's like, yeah, I did. You threw it right to me. But I did not know how good he was. And I did not know how much the Patriots liked him until Malcolm told me the story. He said, I kept trying to get information out of him on what was going to happen. And he said, well, something did happen today. We had a team meeting with everybody. And Coach Belichick said, everybody has a chance to make this team. Everybody has a chance to make this team. And I don't care where you grew up. I don't care if you're a drafter, you're not drafted, or even if you're an undrafted free agent, or if you're a tryout. It makes no difference to me. Everybody has a chance to make this team. And then Belichick said to the whole team, there is a player here that's an undrafted free agent from West Alabama who is the best player we have in camp right now. And I said, wait. Did he say that? He said that? And Malcolm said, yes. And you know what? I went and looked at the roster, and I'm the only one from West Alabama. I said, I know you're the only one from West Alabama. I was really hoping that he would, with that said, he would make the practice squad because of all those great corners that are in front of him. But he makes the team. He calls me and says, I made the cut. He said, Belichick walked right beside me. He said, do you have a place to stay? Because these guys that get there, they're just staying in a hotel and the team pays them. And Belichick walked up to Malcolm and said, do you have a place to stay? He said, no, I don't. And Belichick said, why not? He goes, because I don't know what's going to happen. He said, son, you're here. You need to go, we'll find you. We need to find you a place to stay. So Malcolm, rookie, he's a rookie from West Alabama. I go up to his first game. It's in New England. They're playing the Raiders, and he's on the punt team. And he gets to run down the field, and it's great. And then afterwards, we get to see him and all the different players. And then slowly but surely during the year, he kept getting just a little bit more time. However, a lot of people don't know this, but there's 53 that's on the squad, but only 47 players dress. So there's about 6 players every week that don't dress in 47 dress. Those 6 players could be hurt, they could have had a bad week of practice, but you don't want to have what's called a healthy scratch, which means that they're healthy, they're good to go, but they're not going to make the 53 squad. There were 6 games that Malcolm that year, his rookie year, he was a healthy scratch. He didn't dress. They wouldn't even let him on the sidelines. I mean, he practiced with them. So he was right between kind of a practice squad player and a full squad player. So New England makes the playoffs, and slowly but surely Malcolm starts getting some playing time, and it's just, my head's exploding. I just can't believe it. He's getting in, he's making these plays. He's doing well. They have to play the Colts to see if they go to the Super Bowl, and they beat the Colts and they go to the Super Bowl. So before the Super Bowl, I get a call from Walt Disney. And Walt Disney World says every player on every team that's playing the Super Bowl has to sign a release that says if they are the MVP, they have to sign that they'll say, I'm the MVP and I'm going to Walt Disney World. And they tracked me down and give Walt Disney credit. My gosh, they said, look, we have to have Malcolm sign this. I said, God, listen, he's on the squad, but he's only been on the punt team. He said, we have to have him sign it. So I tracked down Malcolm. It's like, Malcolm, I got to fax this to you. You got to send it back to me so I can get Disney off my back. He goes, what is it? He says, well, just in case you're the MVP of the Super Bowl, you got to sign this. And he just started laughing. He goes, man, I'm on the punt team. I said, I know. He signed it. We get that in. Super Bowl hits. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks. Great team, Russell Wilson. They're loaded. They've got great receivers. And what's interesting is there was a player for the Seahawks named Chris Matthews. And a guy named Kyle Arrington, who was a great corner for the Patriots, was covering him. And Chris Matthews had probably one of the best halves ever in Super Bowl history. And Kyle just was having a really bad game. And Belichick, to his credit, saw that Kyle Arrington couldn't cover Chris Matthews. So he made a switch and he moved Brandon Browner. And Brandon Browner is about 6'5", and he's just this huge corner. He said, you're going to start covering Matthews. In the start of the third quarter, hey, Malcolm Butler, you're in the Super Bowl. Now, this was such a big deal to me because I made my whole family, have 2 girls and a boy. In the first half, when Malcolm was on the punt team, I paused the TV, made my kids come down. I said, watch this. Your dad represents player 21 who's running down on the punt team. That's how excited I was. So you can imagine how excited I was that he was on the punt team in the Super Bowl. My kids said, that's great. They go, well. Second half hits, and then Malcolm comes in. And Malcolm is playing just unbelievable. And of course, they always throw at the rookie, especially a rookie from West Alabama. They start throwing at Malcolm, and he was making plays, left and right. So the Patriots scoring with about a minute and a half left in the game, and Malcolm had played it great. And I turned to my wife and said, Malcolm's about to be the hero of the game. The Patriots are up, 28-24. They got to score a touchdown, and they are going to throw every play at this our player, this rookie corner. And they did. They kept going out. And you're going to see this film in just a second, and it starts with this. But one of the most incredible plays ever in NFL history is you're going to see Malcolm tipping a ball. And you're going to see the Seahawks receiver catching the ball after it's been tipped while he's on his back. And Malcolm realizes that he caught it and he pushes him out. And they're about on the 5-yard line. And all they got to do is score. The Seahawks at that time had the best running back in the league, a guy named Marshawn Lynch, that nobody could tackle. I mean, nobody could even go close to tackling him, and he had an MVP year. So they have first and goal. Going in, and they have Marshawn Lynch at the back. And on first and goal, they hand to Marshawn Lynch. And you'll see in just a second, but Alabama linebacker Dante Hightower actually probably made one of the most incredible tackles you'll ever see. He pushed some guy off him and tackles Marshawn Lynch. that gets them down to the 1 yard line. Now it's 2nd and goal. And all they have to do is hand off to Marshall Lynch, and they win the Super Bowl. But I think the Seahawks said, wait a minute, there is a rookie cornerback that is on that we've been playing. Why don't we throw at him? So they went out there and they run a pick play where there's 2 players, one player goes this way, one player comes this way, and they throw underneath. What they didn't know is that the Patriots had practiced that play all week. And they told them, if you do get in and they try to run this pick play, you've got to run to this spot as fast as you can. And here comes the pick play. 21 seconds left. All the Seahawks have to do is just hand it off, and they run the pick play. And anybody who remembers knows what's happened, but Malcolm ran to that spot, and he intercepted the ball with about 21 seconds left and won the Super Bowl for the Patriots. Now, a couple of months earlier, he was running a 40 just to make the 90-man squad. And by the end of that fall, he was making what I think, under the circumstances, considering where he was, the best play ever in NFL history. You're going to see it here in a second. But I'm going to have y'all watch this, and then I'll answer any questions that you have.
I think Butler hit it.
So he breaks up the play. It's still not on the ground. It's still not on the ground. It's still, well, look at that.
That's crazy, yo. That's crazy, yo.
What's really crazy is that Malcolm Butler was even on the field at this stage of Super Bowl 49.
They benched 25. They benched him. 21 in.
In the second half, the rookie free agent from West Alabama, who had no interceptions and 4 passes defended during the regular season, replaced nickel corner Kyle Arrington.
You know, I think Kyle's a streaky player. You know, when he gets going good, he can really be good, like in Baltimore and covering, you know, T.Y. Hilton. And then sometimes when they catch a couple on him, then he just doesn't play his technique, maybe overthinks it a little bit, sometimes plays a little conservative.
The Patriots cannot cover him.
He can't guard you. He can't guard you. They don't got an answer.
The answer was to move Brandon Browner into coverage on number 13, Chris Matthews, who caught just 1 pass for 9 yards after the change.
Malcolm came in and basically covered Curse for most of the second half.
We knew they were going to come after him, which they did right away.
3rd and 2 from the New England 47.
Here comes the rub. There's Malcolm. You know, it's 3rd and 2. There's the rub. Beat, and now he's trailing. They're going to go at him right now. You know, just a great execution, great job of coming through. Pulls the arm right there, you know, brings the other arm around and makes sure the ball's out.
Butler made another big play on Seattle's final drive.
Can you imagine what this rookie's thinking? And he could not have played this better.
But none of his heroics seemed to matter after Curse's catch.
1st and goal at the 5. 1:06 to play. Russell under center. He hands to Lynch. He goes left. He pounds it down the line.
Unbelievable play by Hightower. Unbelievable play.
The most unsung, but the biggest play of the Super Bowl.
From up in the box, I mean, it looks wide open. I mean, it was wide open. I remember texting him 2 days later. I said, have you seen this play? I said, how in the world did you do this? He bench presses Okung off of him, and he tackles Lynch with his shoulder.
They're going goal line. They're going goal line.
We have different goal line packages. If they had 1 receiver out there, we'd have 1 corner in the game. If they had 2 receivers out there, we'd have 2 corners in the game. If they had 3, like they did on that last play, then we've put 3 corners out there.
It was the first time we were in that personnel group all year. The situation had never come up where we needed to use it in a game until that very last play of the season. Thank God we had it.
We spent a lot of time talking about it, and as a coach, and I guess as a young coach, you think it's never going to come up. And then here it is, the biggest game of our lives. Thankfully, Bill's a forward thinker, and no stone goes unturned. We were all ready for it.
Josh, I remember him chiming in on the headset, Flo, send Malcolm, and Flo turning around and yelling, Malcolm, go.
Malcolm, go! Malcolm was in for Kyle during the game, so Malcolm had to go in, for Kyle at that point in the game.
Let's go, Locke. Let's go.
What's funny is if you look at the play, Browner is having a conversation with Malcolm, and he's telling him exactly what he's going to do. I'm going to jam this guy, and then, we told Malcolm, just go.
If you remember, Malcolm's matchup was really a curse. But Browner had seen enough of those pick routes. He anticipated what was coming as well as Malcolm. So he was like, let me get up here and jam the point, you go. Malcolm had seen that in practice.
Butler had seen it in practice. He just didn't stop it.
The inside receiver got off the line and up into the end zone. Malcolm didn't really have enough awareness for the play, so he had to go all the way around behind the receiver and the defensive back, and there was just too much space. It was an easy touchdown. So the coaching point was, if they're close enough together, then you've got to be ready to get over the top, and the defender on the inside guy's got to jam him so that he can't pick the corner going over the top.
Second down and goal from the 1.
Seattle down 4, but on the verge of the lead. And it's intercepted!
What happened? Overlapped it, undercut the route.
He saw the pick play coming. He did his homework, and he fired his shot and made the play of the year.
Browner really had a lot to do with that play because he jammed the inside receiver and never got off the line of scrimmage. And Malcolm anticipated the play that he didn't anticipate as well in practice.
So much work went into that. I mean, I can't tell you how many guys got that same route. Jamie had it twice in practice. Chung had it about 2 times in practice. Malcolm had it twice. We went through it with everybody.
To see those guys come through and make a play like that in that situation, in as much stress and pressure as you can possibly imagine. I mean, I don't think you really could be any prouder.
They were denied perfection 7 years ago. They're going to cap the 2004.
All right, what do you think? Couple side notes. So Malcolm had signed that 3-year deal with the Patriots, and it was he made the league minimum for 3 years. So he was all pro. The next year, they still paid him the league minimum. 3rd year, they paid him the league minimum. And then the 4th year, he was a restricted free agent, which means they put a first-round tender offer on him, which means that another team can come get him, but they'd have to get him a first-round draft pick. So he played that year. But if you Google my name in the Boston press, you'll see that they tortured me for 2 or 3 years. It was some, slick lawyer in Alabama doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He wants to let Malcolm sign this deal. And the Patriots kept offering him these really team-friendly deals. And, fortunately, my gut said, Malcolm, you're a great player. If you will let's get done with the Patriots. And if they offer you something great, but let's see if we can find you something at another team. And thank God I was right, because after the 4th year, he was a free agent. He could go to any team, and he signed with the Titans. He signed a 5-year deal for $61 million, and $32 million was guaranteed. So he played 3 years for the Titans. Last year, he signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals, and then right before the season started, had some family problems. His father died, and he said, "I'm not going to play. I'm retiring." And I said, "Well, you've done great." And he retired, and then he decided to come out of retirement. And I said, "We'll see if there's any teams we can get you to." And sure enough, Malcolm is re-signed with the Patriots, and so he's going to finish his last 2 years. It could be his last 2 years, with the Patriots. So he's up there now doing practice, and Belichick made a comment about him yesterday about what a great player he is. So anyway, that's the story. So, they had the 100th anniversary of the NFL, and they listed all of the best plays of all time. And Malcolm, was like number 3 and 4 on several lists. And I mean, I would just debate anybody that there's not a better play the last second of the Super Bowl to make an interception like that. I really don't think that there's better play. I get asked a question a lot about Malcolm, and I'll tell you that he is one of the greatest kids. He's great, like a son. So, okay, what questions you got? Dr. Pennington.
Was he the MVP of that?
Yeah. That's a great question. So Brady was the MVP, but the Disney World took him and Edelman, and Malcolm was the one who had to say, I'm going to Disney World. Now, what's interesting is Brady, Malcolm did not even have a car. I mean, he had this old clunker of a car that I helped him buy so he could get around that year. And Brady knew that. And Brady got a truck, a brand new, huge Chevrolet pickup truck. And Brady gave it to Malcolm. And unfortunately, I jumped in and I realized that there was all sorts of tax consequences and all sorts of problems with that. And so I came up with the idea of Brady talking to his agent. I said, Brady needs to say he doesn't want it. And so we had to get Brady to say, I don't want the truck. And then Chevrolet said, but we'll give it to Malcolm. So Malcolm, but he still has the truck. So, yeah. So he gets asked a lot about the truck. Yeah. So what else? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Did this experience open up other players?
That's a great question. The NFL and the NFL agents is by far the nastiest business ever. Seriously. I seem to specialize in these long shots. So sometimes these long shots, I've represented several people from Division II schools. I have right now Lester Cotton. He played at Alabama. He's a big guard. He's with the Raiders, so I have him. I've had other players that have played. Hell Hitches, tight end for Alabama. He played 2 years and then he retired. So I've had several players, but I don't make my living doing it. And I would try not to put all of my eggs in one basket of being an NFL agent. It's a nasty, nasty business. And just because, for example, as a lawyer, if I was representing someone and another lawyer came and talked to my client, they could be disbarred, they could get in all sorts of trouble. The NFLPA has those rules that if I'm representing a player, another agent can come talk to them, but they don't enforce it. So there's just an enormous amount of, now, to Malcolm's credit, after he made this play and he was all pro, every agency in the country wanted him, and he is so loyal and so nice that he stayed with me, and honestly got every reason to fire me. I haven't done it before, but going back to that original conversation, and he also would always tell these agents who would call me, he said, where were you when I didn't have a driver's license? Because when I first met him, he didn't have a driver's license, and he had some outstanding tickets in Mississippi, and I said, I can clear those up for you. And I mean, they weren't a lot of fines, but he was just all in these different cities, and then we got his license back. So, but extremely, extremely loyal, one of the nicest, young men you'll ever meet. He doesn't spend any money. He's got, I think, the first penny that he's made. He still drives like a little Dodge Charger, and I'm not a financial advisor, and he has those financial advisors, but I've preached to him from the very beginning that the NFL really stands for not for long, that the players play, less than 3 years. And when I first started representing Malcolm, the statistic is getting better, but unfortunately it was extremely high, and it's 75% of all NFL players file for bankruptcy about 4 years out of the league, which is, the number is just outrageous. The NFLPA has really come in, they've done everything they can, but what happens, let me give you an example. Malcolm made that play in the Super Bowl. He made the league minimum. He made $500,000, which is the league minimum. Well, half of that goes to taxes. He had to file a tax return in every state that he played in. He had to live in the big city, close to Boston. He has to pay for his own rent. He has to pay for his own food. And that, let's say that left him $150,000, $200,000 of spending money that year, which is a lot of money for a young man out of college. But he didn't have enough money to go buy his mom a house. He didn't have enough money to go buy his buddies, a bunch of cars. And once people see people on TV, it's, oh, he's making huge money. And then it's pretty incredible. A lot of these NFL players make the league minimum and it goes up per year. 7, 8, 9, it's over $1 million, but not every player is making, Eli Manning money, Tom Brady money. So, now Malcolm made that kind of money because he was considered one of the best corners in the league. And, when you have a lockdown corner, that releases another defensive player. So you pay these lockdown corners a lot of money because they can cover the best receivers. So, all right, any questions? All right. Cliff, good job bringing it in. I was a little suspect at first. I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, yeah, that was one of the best we had all year. So great job. And Derek, thanks again. That was awesome. Any other announcements? Feedback we need to discuss? All right, let's go ahead and close the meeting with a four-way test.
He'll be around.
Okay, awesome. All right, as Rotarians, all the things we think, say, or do. First,
is the truth.
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Awesome. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for being Rotarians.
All right, but I can't find all my, I got 600.
I'm not worked. I'm not worked inside. Yes. Yesterday I saw a lady said, drive short distances. Okay. Short.
Short.
Cross country
I've got another meantime, it planted itself and I twisted my knee. So I learned, see, I can't
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. No, good job.
Thank you.
Good story. Heard everything, I mean, you know, just repeat, but I mean, I said.